Good morning all, welcome back to the farm. Hey, look at this, blue skies at last. Is this spring? Well, I hope it was, although it was frosty last night. All right, today is the big challenge, which is getting the whole of our hill field prepped, sown and rolled, ready for the year ahead, ready for a new lay. It's been left as it is for like an existing permanent pasture for many years. It was all compacted and just didn't have the vigor and the growth of the grass, and it was just struggling. It was a great field for us because in the winter it never gets wet. It's always good for livestock, but it just didn't feed them. So what we're doing now is getting it all prepped up. Last week you saw we got all of it subsoiled and broken up, which is great because it's going to relieve all that compaction. Rob's here, he's got a power harrow on, so he's going to go through and crumble it all up. It should become quite fine then. And I've got the Cambridge roll, the ring roller, on the back of the Fergie, on the back of Audrey. So I'm going to follow behind in maybe 10 minutes once he's had a head start, and that should prepare it enough for us to get seeding. Now another contractor, Jack, came last week with a big John Deere jobby with a huge great machine on the back to do all that subsoiling. However, everyone is just flat out at the moment getting all the cereals in because of all the rain. Everything's all backed up, so all the jobs, I mean, we would be at the very bottom of the list. He did have a machine which was like some sort of combination machine which would have done the power harrowing, and it would have drilled in all of the seed and then rolled behind, and it would have been a one-hit wonder, all on his GPS stuff. So that would have been great, but we haven't got that option, so we're going to go a little bit more traditional, I guess, and get it done. I think Rob's gonna, I don't know how Rob's gonna seed it. I assume it's a broadcast spree. I didn't see anything on his, yeah, that's a good question, so I'm not doing it by hand. He has one on the back of a quad, I think, but there's no quad here today, so I'm sure we're gonna do it, but just not sure how yet. We'll have to wait and see. Right, Rob's had 20 minutes. He started on the top, so if you remember, we let the pigs have about 2/3 of that field all winter, so there's not much grass there, which is great, whereas the top has a bit more growth still, so it's probably going to look less prepped. But the fact that we're putting in, it's not like we're putting in a crop or something. I don't mind some of the grass growing back, we just want to knock it back enough so it's not going to start competing with our new stuff. This is going to prep up really nice, I think, because it's quite crumbly, it's now quite dry, and the soil lends itself to being worked like that. He says, as someone who's never done a day of arable work in his life. But you can see it was all quite chunky like this from all of last week's work, and I just rolled, well, I just went up there to park the tractor last night, and you can see just by rolling that's across it, it crumbled everything up. So by the time Rob's done his thing and I followed behind, hopefully it'll be okay. Poor old pigs have been confined to this area, but we're very, very close to being able to put them over in the woods. I just want to make sure it dries up a little bit more. So the boys are going to go over there, and maybe Lavender, which is their mum. She should be pregnant, but I don't know if she is. Now Matilda lying down over there, she's due in about a week or two, and then Miss Honey about a week after that. So I think potentially I'm going to make a small pen down here, and they can have an ark each. Goats are for sale, most of them, because I need that building for other things, and out of everything they're taking the most work, and as much as I love them, I think that's the route we'll go. We'll just concentrate on the sheep, and then there is Lucky, or not so lucky. Where's that? Ah, there you are, buddy. So this is Lucky. He's number 13, but basically the mum had 2 boys. She's our oldest mum, she's 7, Great mum. She had 2 lads. One just ended up getting a bit stronger, and because one side of her bag, her udder, has gone, she can raise that single absolutely fine, and she is the best mum. Anyway, number 13, this little boy is getting some complimentary feed from us, and he's feeding really well now. About 2 nights ago, we found him down in the bottom field, freezing cold, pretty much on death's door, and he had a couple of like weird fit spasm things going on in the house. We tried to warm him up. We tubed him for a day. That's when you kind of get a tube down and to feed them the milk. And he started kind of coming around, but I don't want another bottle lamb. I want him to be, you know, with the sheep really. So he spends the day out there or here, and then he comes in at night. But every morning the mum is waiting at the gate. Quite often if you feed them formula, like a powdered milk, the smell of the lamb changes and the mums don't like it, but she is the best mum ever. She'll wait at the gate, she'll go off with her lad during the day or in the evening, and she'll always come back up. So after he's had a feed, he goes back out, and he does try and feed from her, but he just goes to the duff side and his brother gets all the milk. So that's why he's rallying anyway. His brother's about twice the size of him. I just stuck a new GoPro mount on Audrey. She needs a new paint job anyway, so I don't think I'm going to ruin anything. Right, we're back on it. Rob's popped back with the bikes. He's on that. He's got the spreader. He's got all sorts of gear on there. Not necessarily for today. But anyway, he's got the spreader on the back. He's got 4 bags that I brought down. Well, I've brought 2 down. I'll show you those in a second. But he's got 1 in the hopper at the moment. I think he's going to go over it multiple passes and then probably change direction. I'll try and get a close-up of it and see what the spread's like. But so far, it's covering the ground pretty quick. The stuff, so Green Farm Seeds, not a million miles from here. So this is called a herbal lay, and for those of you who don't know, instead of just having a grass lay, just ryegrass or whatever that might be, all the different types of grasses, you get different mixes for different things. This has got a mixture of grasses but also different herbs and like deep rooting species in it. So things in it that are not pure grass are things like the clovers, there are plantain, vetch, and where's the chicory? So chicory is an example of one that like goes really deep, and that's hopefully going to help break up some of our compaction that we had, but also it brings up different nutrients in the soil for the grazing sheep or goats or cows or whatever you've got on it than if you just had more shallow rooted grass species. So it's actually beneficial for those animals that are grazing on it. There are also things in here which are good anthelmintics, I think it's called. It's basically like natural wormers. So as they eat these different, it's like eating a mixed salad, but you've got all sorts of superfoods in it, and it can actually act as a natural wormer. There are specific blends that they sell, and you can just sow a small paddock of that, and it's more concentrated version of the anthelmintics, and you put your stock in there every once in a while as a natural wormer, which is quite clever. But we haven't done that, but we've got a certain amount of it mixed in. Right, Rob's on his way back. Let's see if we can catch a bit of this spreading. I'll put the drone up and get a bit from there, but I can see seed, so it's definitely coming out. It's all right. It's definitely got a good old spread on it, but it's going on too light. In that it's a bag an acre, so it's 4 bags for the whole thing. So Rob's covered over half of the field with 1 bag. Well, so it'll take 2 bags to do it in one pass. So then I'm guessing he's going to go perpendicular to that and put the other 2 bags on after. But it's even, you can tell, like the seed's going down well. I was trying to find, I should have grabbed a handful of it, because the grass seeds are the easy ones to spot, but in there's all these tiny little, you know, coated, I don't know if they're coated or they're just different colours, but loads and loads of different seeds. I'm kind of learning as we go, but this has definitely turned out nice. I mean, it's well known that this area is good soil for working, but it's nice and sandy. It's crumbled down quite well. We do want a bit of rain soon, I guess, but hopefully once this is all pressed in, there's a couple of the bigger seeds. So I don't know what those big ones are. Maybe they're the chicory. Once Rob's done that in half an hour or so, then the best thing would be a flat roller. Now I do have one. I bought an old one last year at the same time as this one, but I think it's about 5 feet wide, and judging by the length of time it took me to do that one, I think I'm just going to go with this. Brought the last 2 bags down. There's a quick look at the seed. I'm just going to hand sow a little bit around this gateway just while I got the seed open. Yeah, right mix in there. Someone will know. What are those biggies? Are they the chicory, or are they some sort of seed that's coated? Because sometimes even the tiniest seeds end up with a coating around them, making them look bigger. But alright, let's get some of this down. While I wait for Rob to finish off before I can start, I'll share with you a little bit on the costings. I'll give you a bit of drone footage whilst I'm doing that. So the costs for this were a little bit more because we had that initial contractor coming in to subsoil, and by subsoiling it, that was just relieving all that compaction and doing a certain amount of the prep work. But ordinarily you wouldn't necessarily need to do that. You could probably just power harrow like we did this morning, and that will give you enough to get some overseeding, some new seed in. And if you are looking for a herbal lay mix, this one is pretty much a blanket start from scratch type mix, which is almost what we're doing. If you were just wanting to overseed and add some herbal lay into your existing grass, then you can get a more herb dominant mix. In actual fact, it's hardly got any grass seed in it at all. Therefore, you would just be doing the harrowing, getting in those seeds and rolling, and essentially you would then end up with a similar sort of mix that we're getting now. Cost wise, I think it came to £250 for, including that, I think, for the 4 acres. That was for all of that subsoiling and initial work. And then power harrowing, I haven't even asked Rob. He might charge me a fortune. No, I think it's normally about £40 per acre. So really, if you haven't got to do the subsoiling, so far all this prep is about £200. The grass seed itself is £75 a bag, or £75 an acre, I think. Probably costs us around £400. in contractors and all that to get all this prep work done, and the seeding and everything, plus the cost of the seed as well. But that would probably be half if you didn't need that initial subsoiling. And also the rolling I've managed to do myself. It's just about the only thing I can contribute here, so that's going to save a little bit as well. But if we had have used that contractor with this big fancy bit of kit, he would have done the sort of rotivating or the power harrow, drilling the seed and rolling in pretty much one pass, and I imagine that would have saved quite a bit of money and possibly done a better job. He had the GPS thing going on, and you could tell because the lines last week were just absolutely straight as an arrow, whereas now me and Audrey look like we've been on the booze, because it's we just the front wheels, you know, they're a little bit loose, so you just kind of follow what you can. But anyway, it's all going to end up okay, and hopefully I can get this rolled in now, because Rob's on his last pass. Well, it's job done, I think, and it gets a little bit same old after a while, that tractor work, and obviously with no cab it's a little bit more open to the elements. But we couldn't have asked for a better day, being that, you know, it's only April. But this ground has just dried up so quickly, dare I say it, kind of need a bit of rain now. It's been raining for about 4 months, but it's going to take a bit of rain to get this kick started, I think. I mean, the problem is our soil is so loose or so sandy that it's never going to compact really tight with the seeds hidden. I guess maybe a really flat roller would work, but either way, it is what it is. We've done what we can, and while yes, it will leave a footprint in it, you know, some people say you should be able to ride a bike on it or something without leaving it needs to be fairly compacted. I think a little bit of rain and it will kind of consolidate now. There we go. Big thanks to Rob for coming and doing his part. Green Farm Seeds, I'll see if I can find a link to their stuff, because although it happens to be local, they send it nationwide, and it just seemed to be a little bit better price than some of the other bigger places. We'll leave it there. We'll report back in a few weeks, see what's germinating, and let you know. But that's it. Have a good weekend, everyone. Take care, and we'll see you next time.